Hello, I am Javier Puy. I am gay and I'm a plant population ecologist, now postdoctoral researcher in Yvonne Buckley's lab in zoology. I focus on studying processes that affect populations, and I'm amazed by how variable plants could be, regardless of being from the same species or being in the same location. And that is why I title my talk The Value of Being Different in Populations. As you know, there are many examples in the nature where individuals, although they belong to the same species or same population, or even being same organs from the same individual, they are not identical. During my bachelor, seeing and learning about diversity in its different forms helped me to accept myself and realize that love comes in different ways and shapes. Uh, I don't know if Charles Darwin experienced the same as me, but what is clear is that we also that he was also amazed by the variation in characteristics and variation between species, and he got with a clever hypothesis of how evolution works, and he also explained that variation is necessary for evolution to work. Hopefully, I have not made any spoiler, and most of you probably remember the two most famous theories of evolution. On one side, Lamarck suggested that organisms can adapt to their environment, so that long-necked giraffes evolve as generation of giraffes stretch their necks to rear higher leaves, right? On the contrary, on the other side, years later, Darwin suggested the natural selection, meaning that the environment selects the most adapted from the existing variation in the species. So following the same example, long-necked giraffes are randomly born and have more offspring due to their competitive advantage. For decades, also because advances in genetics supported Darwin's theory, the neo-Darwinist theory was greatly accepted between the scientific community and sometimes even seen as set in stone. And indeed, this is what I was told during my bachelor. So bringing to a more biological context, this is what neo-Darwinian theory suggests, that genetic random mutations create variation in the phenotype of the species, and that the environment selects and finally alters the genetic variation of the population. So basically, from this point of view, the phenotype is the conjunction of these two sources of variation. Me as a scientist, I'm wired to constantly weigh perception versus facts and to have a critical thinking, right? Well, I got mad at myself and felt cheated because it was not until I was doing my PhD in the Czech Republic 6 years ago when I learned and read that from the 1950s there is another known source of variation in the species, the so-called epigenetics. Those are chemical modifications that can influence gene expression, so affecting the characteristics of the individuals, but without altering the underlying DNA sequence. So this was crazy for me. And more importantly, these modifications can be heritable. More importantly, they can be induced by the environment. Like these modifications can be induced by the environment. How cool is that, right? Well, indeed, recent research has recognized the role of epigenetics on epigenetic heritable modifications in adaptation. So it opens up the possibility of directed microevolution. So it resonates very much with these Lamarckian notions of evolution that previously was seen as inconceivable from the genetical point of view. And probably because my brain was blown up, without thinking twice, I decided that I wanted to continue researching on this topic, the phenotypic plasticity. I wanted to discover the diverse rainbow of possibilities that a single genotype can bring in the light of the environment. It's true that sometimes it's hard because you have to fight all the fashion ways of thinking, but despite of this, I am very happy to work in a kind of new topic where there hundreds of open questions to be tested. And also, I told you that I'm very happy to work in the field of biology and ecology, where we are amazed by that diversity and that there is no prejudice against queerness. And indeed, I'm very happy to work in this field, where maintaining and promoting diversity is considered a must, and that it has served as reference for the development of new laws and public policies. Diversity is the reflection of the world in which we live, and sometimes I don't understand why promoting diversity is hard to be applied in society, despite decades of research in social science that have proved that diversity is a powerful source that can foster a strong and resilient society with increased profits in the long run. As I told you, in the field of biology and ecology, positive effect of diversity has been commonly found. In nature is very common, and almost it seems like an unquestionable fact. Higher biodiversity, which agglutinates different components such as landscape, taxonomical, functional, increases ecosystem and community functioning. So it promote like it increased the productivity of the ecosystem, so for example, the resistance to stress. And indeed, also, the genetic diversity has similar effects on populations. So in this case, increasing levels of genotypes has an increasing effect in the productivity, in the population productivity. But what about the unexplored diversity of environmental origins or epigenetic diversity? Do they work as the other sources of biodiversity? So my work has been on unraveling the effect of those diversities within the populations. In order to do so, we set up two experiments where population of Arabidopsis thaliana were grown. In the first one, populations had varying levels of diversity of parental environments, meaning that in the monocultures, only individuals from one parental origin were present. You see, in the parental generation, we made the parental generation to experience three different conditions. So in the monocultures, individuals had experienced only one specific environmental condition in the parental generation, and in mixtures, the individuals were coming from these three different parental environments, this controlled fertilization and waterlogging treatment. So all of them mixed. So similarly, in a second experiment, we constructed populations with an increasing diversity of individuals that differ in their copies of retrotransposons. Retrotransposons is just a mechanism of epigenetic variation. So in this case, we created populations with just one type of individuals and a mixtures up to 16 mix of individuals, different epigenotypes. So here are some pictures of how it looks one of these experiments where tens of thousands of plants are transplanted one by one to construct populations. And yeah, to make the long story short, we saw that mixtures populations with different parental origins or more diverse epigenetic variation were more diverse in their characteristics. So they were functionally more diverse, and because of it, when they grow in mixtures, they are more productive, and we see mixtures are more productive than in monocultures. So when they grow with the different in mixtures, they are more productive than when they grow with themselves or with the more similar ones. So this means that diversity has a synergic effect because it increases complementarity and it reduces competition between the individuals. So we conclude that these unexplored sources of diversity can have similar effects on ecosystem and population functioning as other more generally documented sources of biodiversity. And yeah, to conclude, What I learned from being scientist or a member of the LGBTIQI plus community, where, well, the first is that we have to fight against old-fashioned ways of thinking, and we should communicate and be a visual example of the diverse rainbow of possibilities that exist out there to really fight the ignorance. As I told you, as a scientist, I'm wired to constantly weigh perceptions versus facts, and that has helped me to make sense of personal hardships facing homophobia, and it allows me today to fight for my peers and the LGBTIQ plus community. And as a gay man, I have grown to embrace alternative views, and I'm still growing. Also, identifying as queer is an important part of my story because I view queer as a radical social justice label. The way society oppressed the environment, queer people, and other marginalized people all intersect. And my queer identity steers me to think about that intersectionality in an important ways. And finally, diversity is the reflection of the world in which we live, and we should promote it and increase its visibility. And as in nature, as we have seen in nature, there is a great value of in being different. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you.